What is up, everyone? Movie back again with another Blu-ray and 4K update. This is just me talking about all the movies I've picked up over the past few weeks. Now, this isn't the biggest one I've ever done. There's still about 12 or 13 titles here. Don't get me wrong, it's still enough to make a video. But I have a full horror movie collection video coming at the end of the week. Now, there's a few horror films in here, so I wanted to make this video before I'd done that. If that makes sense to you, just the way I wanted to do it. And I will say, before I get onto the Blu-rays and 4Ks, there is one VHS in here that I just want to quickly talk about. I don't buy VHSs, but I've always wanted this one for my movie room. And I want to thank Tony from Sinister Art of Movies, whose channel link I will leave down below, for grabbing this for me. He's seen it out in the wild and sent me it in the post for free. Tony is such a great guy. I loved doing that collaboration video with him. We've got another one coming on the Elm Street franchise soon. But that is Robocop. Now, I've always wanted this for a bit of nostalgia. And I'm going to put it on show as a little shrine in my movie room, because there's a little bit of a story behind this, which I've told before. I had the edited for TV version for so long. My dad recorded it for me when I was about 6 years old. But all the stuff was cut out there. And my friend Teddy, a few years later, lent me a VHS, just like this one. And it was fully uncut, and I just thought I was watching a totally different movie. It blew me away, and it is my favourite film of all time. So thank you so much, Tony, for getting me this VHS tape. There's the back, my favourite scene of the whole film, where they're just blowing cars up and stuff. Yeah, quickly show you inside. That brings back a lot of memories for me. So Tony, thank you so much, my friend. Glad to finally own this in my collection. There's a bit of retro, a bit of retro nostalgia there. I've always wanted this. I'm glad to finally have it. And we are now going on to what you've all become here for, and that is the 4Ks and Blu-rays. So first off, we'll show the 4Ks, and that is Avengers Infinity War. Now, I'm going through the whole MCU franchise right now on my channel, and I realised there was a few that I needed. I've done the first 5 movies as reviews. Next up is Avengers Assemble. But I'm looking forward to going back to this one, later on in the year when I get to it. Glad to own it on 4K. This is a really good film. I remember the first time I watched them, enjoying this one more than most. So many great characters in it in one movie. And it sets up the whole Thanos thing, doesn't it? I mean, Thanos is one of the best villains in the MCU, if not the best. And I remember having such a good time with this. It was groundbreaking at the time to watch. I mean, Age of Ultron was big, but this was even bigger. I'm glad to finally own it in the collection now, especially on 4K. And next up, we do have Avengers Endgame. Now, I done a video, 20 movies you must own in your collection. I'll leave the link to it down below, but I remember when I was preparing for that video, I wanted to put this in it. And I didn't own it, so I thought I better rectify that right now. So I picked up Infinity War and this on 4K. I've wanted to own them for a while, to be honest. I think I like this one just a little bit better than Infinity War. Just because it wraps everything up, really. It's such a great ending. But that scene where they all run out and just have that big battle was fantastic. This was movie history getting made right here. I mean, I'm not an over-the-top MCU fan like a lot of people, or a massive fan. I just enjoy the movies, but you've got to appreciate how good this was. Last MCU movie of the pile, I promise, that is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I went to cinema to see this. I think I give it like a 7 out of 10. But it wasn't bad. It was fun enough. Michael Douglas was really good in this, quite funny at times. And yeah, Paul Rudd's always good, isn't he? It was a good sequel. I already own the first one on Blu-ray. Glad to own this on 4K. Maybe my mind will change on the rewatch. Maybe I'll appreciate it a bit more. Maybe I won't. But I just think it was a good 7 out of 10 film. And there's only 2 more Marvel movies from the MCU I need in my collection right now. So they might be on the next pick-up video. That is Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel. My 2 worst MCU movies at this time. Maybe that'll change on rewatch though, like I said. Next up is the only film I have not seen in this pile, and that is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I have seen Godzilla and Kong Skull Island, but I know there's a new one coming out, and I watched a few people's trailer reactions and seen how excited they were. So I thought I'd better watch this, get hold of it, and I'm glad to own it on 4K. It should look great. It's a big budget movie. I was just put off by this at the time because a lot of people said the characters were terrible. or it focused too much on their characters. But Vera Farmiga is in there, who's one of my favourite actresses from Bates Motel. So it can't be all bad. Charles Dance as well, he's one of my favourite actors. So yeah, I don't think I can go too wrong there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Should be good. And I'll definitely review the next one on the channel when it comes. Next up is a movie that I didn't really fancy at all, but I'm glad I went to cinema to see it. That is Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, my fiance went to see this with her sister, and after it she said, look, you've got to come to cinema and see it with me. I'll go and see it again. It's that good. And I wasn't a fan of Queen at the time, but I am now because of this movie. I remember I couldn't stop playing all the Queen songs about a month after watching this. Such a fascinating story, very emotional, but so well done. Rami Malek is brilliant as Freddie Mercury in this. I would give this a solid 9 out of 10. I'm not really a massive fan of music biopics, but every time I watch one, they seem to grow on me a bit more. So you could say I'm starting to appreciate them a lot more now. But this was one of the best and one of my favourite 2019 movies. Was it 2019? Or 18 maybe. One of my favourite movies of that year. 9 out of 10. Solid film. Highly recommend it. Next up is a film, one of the first films I reviewed on this channel. I think it might have been the third movie I ever reviewed on this channel. And that is 1917. Now, I gave this a 7 out of 10 back then. I just think it's sacrificed story for filmmaking. There's no doubt how good this filmmaking is from Sam Mendes. It's so well shot. All meant to be done in one take. And it's a story about the First World War. But I can sort of also see the other side. It's hard to tell a story over, 48 hours or whatever this is. I can't quite remember. Is it a day or something? Might have even been like 2 or 3 hours now because it's all one shot. I can't quite remember. But I want to give this another go. I'm glad to own it on 4K. It should look great. I want to give it another go. But I am glad I went to cinema to see it because it was a good experience. But I just don't think the story was fully there. But I'm going to give it another go because I've seen people give this a 10 out of 10 and stuff. War movies aren't usually a big thing for me. I enjoy them, but I don't really get excited when I'm about to go and see one or anything. Next up is one of my favourite, well, not my favourite movies of 2020, but one of the most surprising. And that is Sonic the Hedgehog. I am a big Sonic fan. It was the first video game I ever played. But I was expecting this to be pretty bad. I mean, I remember they changed the Sonic design. That wasn't a good start at all. But this is definitely intended for kids, and it's a kids movie done right. Now, I watched Tom and Jerry recently. I thought it was pretty bad. But this was done well, you know. So you can't just say, oh, well, it's intended for kids, so what you'd expect, because this was intended for kids. But I give this a way bigger score than Tom and Jerry. And it was good to have a few throwbacks to the adults in there as well. Great post-credit scene, by the way. Or mid-credit scene, if you like. Jim Carrey back to his best in this, you know, the old Jim Carrey that we all know and love as Dr. Robotnik. I enjoyed it, glad to own it. I had to own Sonic on 4K in my collection because, like I said, one of the first video games I ever played, and I was so excited for this movie, even though I didn't expect much. The next up is a film I don't really love, to be honest, but I wanted it for the collection because I own the 4 that came before it. And that is Alien Covenant. Well, you could say 4. There's probably about 7 before this if you include Prometheus and stuff. I remember not loving this on the cinema. I was so excited to go and see it because another Alien film that looked like it might be going sort of down the same route as the second Alien film. Why can't we just have something like that again? I didn't like the story of David and all these settlers on the planet. The CGI was bad. I don't think it's a terrible movie or anything, but it was more like a 5 out of 10 for me. But I'm going to give it another go at some point, and maybe my mind will change. But Alien and Aliens are still by far the best of the franchise. Now, next up is a movie that I have done a full unboxing on. I'll leave the link down below instead of unboxing it here if you want to check it out. And that is Host. I put this in my top 10 movies of 2020. It was a Shudder original. It's only a 60-minute long film, and it's basically about these group of teenagers who have a seance online, and it's all made from video cameras and stuff. And this was all filmed during the pandemic, so I appreciate how well made it was. It's a simple found footage film, but I enjoyed it. I had such a good time with this. So many creepy moments and stuff. And to Second Sight, I've done a nice addition here, even though I probably think it's a film that didn't deserve such a boutique, you know, a boutique edition. But it's still a good film. It's still a good film. But it's just a bit weird to have this big box set of it, of this 60-minute movie. But I'm glad to own it. Oh, nearly come out there. Next up, I want to thank a YouTuber called Jamie Powell. Some of you probably know him, for sending me this, and that is Train to Busan Peninsula. I did buy it off him, but I went to HMV over Christmas and I just couldn't find it anywhere, and he was selling it, so I jumped at the chance, because I loved the first movie. This one, I didn't love it too much. It had a great beginning and a fantastic ending. It was all the middle ground that I didn't like, all the characters in this city that's been took over by them and stuff. Didn't work for me. There's a stupid sport that they play and bet on where people are killed by zombies. Just wasn't working for me at all. The first one is definitely the better movie, but I'm still glad to own this nice edition there. So yeah, glad to own it. It's in the collection. Next up is a Arrow video release, and it's one of the best found footage movies ever made, and that is Wreck. I haven't seen the sequels, but I remember watching this back in the day and thought it was so well made. It seems so real. You know, I think it's this fire crew it's a fire crew and a video crew, and they're doing like a documentary. They go into this building where they've been called to, and a zombie outbreak has occurred. But it's so real. I'm going to watch this again soon because I know my fiance would love this. And it's only about a 70-minute film, I think. 75 minutes. But it's so well made. I'm going to have to try and grab Wreck too, because I've heard that's really good as well. This is one of the best found footage movies out there, and a nice little release from Arrow. The cover's very the same, but yeah, glad to own that one. Like I said, a few horror films in this pile, guys. And lastly, we do have Unhinged, one of my most surprising movies of 2020. I remember the cinemas just opened, and I was itching to go because lockdown had shut them for a few months. And there was this movie, Unhinged. I went, that's a 2020 film involving Russell Crowe, who's a madman. Let's go. And I enjoyed it. I think I give it a 7.5 in my review. But yeah, such a good movie. Russell Crowe basically is at these traffic lights, and this woman keeps beeping him. This woman beeps him because he's stuck at a green light, and he doesn't take too kindly to it, and just terrorizes her for the whole day. He's such a crazy guy in this, so menacing. There's a scene in a restaurant or a diner, and it's so well done. But I recommend this. It's good if you like a thriller, horror type movie. And that is it, guys. That is my Blu-ray and 4K update. I hope you all enjoyed it. What did you think of these titles that I grabbed? I do have that horror movie collection video coming at the end of the week. I'm so excited to film it. Horror is my favourite genre. I have done one before, but it was last year, so this is an updated version of it, and I'm a little bit better on camera now, so hopefully you will all enjoy that. Look forward to that at the end of the week. Thanks so much, guys. Take it all easy, and I'll see you all next video.